Hunk of Burning Love, Silver Prospector, and Mystic Guide. Mystic Guide has put his length and a half in front on Silver Prospector in second. To the outside in Rated R Superstar, but it is Mystic Guide clear, a 16th out, and now he is 3.5 lengths in front. Silver Prospector is second. Hunk of Burning Love and Owendale. Mystic Guide straight and strong.
Welcome back to the Racing Rundown here on YouTube. I'm Eric DeCoster. In this preview, we will be looking at the Group Grade 1 Dubai World Cup. Of course, one of the richest races in the world, $12 million purse. Personally, one of my favorite races of the year. Always a fun one, always a very diverse field, always very fun, dynamic, and most importantly, talented field. We have 14 horses in here, obviously with COVID and really a lack of a major superstar. We see not as many American challengers as we would normally see, especially at the highest level. We have 4 Americans set to line up in this year's World Cup, none of which have won at the Grade 1 level. Kind of surprising, but nevertheless, there are good horses here. Of course, some good locals, and then you have some good Europeans and a couple good Japanese horses in here as well. So all good nonetheless. Let's not waste any more time. We have a full field of 14. Numbers don't necessarily correlate to post position given how they operate in Dubai at Meydan in the ERA. So things are going to be different, but I will make sure to list the post position with every horse. We'll start with the one Juste Fiscal, the Uruguayan bred, breaks from post 13. One of the better horses Uruguay has seen in quite a while. He was able to win a lot of their major Group 1 races down there as a 3-year-old, and then Connections got ambitious. They brought him to Dubai for this winter. Quite a few South American horses running on this World Cup card. Ran throughout the majority of the World Cup festival January, February, and March. So they're well represented in this horse. 6 for 12 lifetime. His first run wasn't overly impressive in the first round of the Al Maktoum Challenge. Second round went a lot better. He ran third, was closing really nicely. Still beaten, though, by Salute the Soldier, most notably, and the Great Collection, both who return in this spot. You know, he's a nice horse. He's a good horse, a lot of talent. I think third run in this form cycle is going to do him a lot of good. I think the 1.25 miles is going to do him a lot of good. We're talking about a horse here who's won going up to 1.5 miles. So he loves the distance. He's a big-bodied horse. I wouldn't be surprised to see him run a big race at a big price. I don't think he's going to be able to sniff the winner's circle in here, but run a good 3rd, 4th, or 5th for sure. I think there's plenty of opportunity for him to break through at that level. The 2 is Capizano, breaks from post 7. Kind of a weird horse here. He's a 7-year-old gelding. Has been running in Dubai really since the end of his 2-year-old year. Originally was with Godolphin, looked like maybe a UAE Derby horse. That didn't work out. Has since been with New Connections. Actually has won a Group 1. He is a Group 1 winner. At Meydan, he actually beat Thunder Snow a couple years ago, but really ever since his win last March in 2020, he has not done anything impressionable, especially this season at Meydan. 3 straight losses. His last run was probably his most impressive, 4th, beaten less than 2 lengths in that same race that Juste Fiscal was 3rd in. That was the 2nd round of the Al Maktoum Challenge. You know, he's a decent horse, but he's certainly overmatched in this spot. Does seem like he's a little bit past his prime. The 3, breaking from post 3, Japanese Chuo Wizard, one of the better dirt horses in Japan. He's picked up Group 1 wins there, won their Champions Cup dirt in December. That was a big win over their best dirt horses there. But he's also been beaten by a couple of the better horses there. Chrysoboro, mainly the biggest one. I think if you follow Japanese racing to any extent, you're familiar with Chrysoboro, and he's handily beaten Chuo Wizard on multiple occasions. And while Chrysoboro's a good horse, I would not wager him to I think he could handle maybe the top competition in this race, but I wouldn't consider him a winner by any means if you were in this field. And Chuo Wizard's been handled by him multiple times, even more so. 9th, beaten almost 20 lengths in the Saudi Cup in his most recent effort. So I think he's a bit overmatched. Also think, based off some of the races I've seen him go over 1.25 miles, you know, he's won going up, even further than 1.25 miles before, but I truly think he's probably more of a 9 furlong horse, in my opinion. The 4, Gifts of Gold, breaks from post 14, winner of the Red Sea Handicap in his last start in Saudi Arabia, Saudi Cup Day on the turf, going almost 2 miles, and now he cuts back to 1.25 miles on the dirt here. His only other dirt start, he was dead last in the first round of the Al Maktoum Challenge, going a mile. Not a good race. I think the dirt was probably what did him in. He has more of a turf pedigree I really don't know why he's in this race when he could have ran in the Dubai Gold Cup, the 2 mile race earlier on the card. I know that Godolphin's well represented in there, and they probably wanted to have one local representative in here. Godolphin has 3 horses in here, one from France, one from America, and then this local horse. So that might be it, but really I don't understand the move to put him in this spot. Who knows? He might shock everybody like he did in that Red Sea handicap, but I'm going to let him do that for me because I honestly don't see him having a big chance in here, given he hates the dirt. He's won at 1.25 miles, likes the distance, but the dirt is really kind of the biggest factor to go against him here. The 5 is Great Scott. Really good third last time, but this is a horse based in Saudi Arabia, and he was third in the Saudi Cup behind Mishriff and Charlatan. Finished in front of Nick's Go and Sleepy Eyes Todd and Tacitus and so on and so forth. So that was really impressive to me. He had 3 wins before that. I think this is another kind of wild card horse you could consider underneath. I'm not using him, but I could see why someone would use him, given he's clearly able to run with the best horses in the world. I know he had a bit of the home field advantage in that last race, the Saudi Cup, but at the same time, it was a very credible race. I think it was really good. Probably a little distance challenged. I don't know if he's gone 1.25 miles, but I know his best races have been at 1 mile. That's where we've seen him win the majority of his races in Saudi Arabia, including some Group 1s. So, Great Scott's a good horse for sure. I would be skeptical to see him stay the distance, which is why I'm against it. But like I said, might be one of those horses that can run underneath, given I think that the second and third tier horses in this race are very evenly matched. The 6 hypothetical breaks from post 2. I did forget to mention Great Scott does break from the rail, hypothetical from post 2. This is a horse who's kind of quickly emerging in Dubai, in the UAE right now. He's put in some excellent runs this season, first or seconds a lot of times. He does have a 4th sprinkled in there at Jebel Ali in January, but his 3 runs at Meydan have been excellent. I mean, he picked up a nice little handicap win 2 starts back, and then was second, beaten just under 2 lengths by Salute the Soldier in that 3rd round of the Al Maktoum Challenge. Really good run there. He's a big, rangy colt, turf pedigree, but he clearly likes the dirt. He's won over it. So I think that goes a long way with him. I think he's a talented horse. I think he's overmatched by the Americans mainly, and a couple others in here. He hasn't really been able to beat the top level in the UAE to this point. So once again, that's why I'm not considering him in this spot. He has tons of consistency. He's been fun to watch this year, but ultimately just one I think is a bit overmatched in this spot. Does have Mikel Barcelona, who's won a World Cup, Shalom Ben Gadair, one of the best trainers every year in the UAE, so he has that going for him too. The 7 is Jesus' team, the first of the U.S. horses we will discuss, a former 25K claimer, now in the world's, one of the world's richest races. Of course, he has been one of the bigger stories, having run some incredibly strong races to this point. He, of course, is coming off a really good second to Nick's Go in the Pegasus World Cup last time out, coming from very far off the pace. Even before that, outside of that win in the Claimed Crown, which honestly wasn't too impressive given who he beat, but before that, good second behind Nick's Go in the Dirt Mile. 3rd in the Preakness behind Swiss Skydiver and Authentic. Those are your 2 champion 3-year-old colts in Philly, respectively. Mystic Guide, he was 3rd to Mystic Guide. That obviously is going to matter when we touch on Mystic Guide in a second. But that was a good run in the Jim Dandy last fall. He's put together 5 excellent races to this point, and he looks like a really good horse. Now, he's going to have to come from off the pace. Not always the greatest thing to be doing at Meydan. There doesn't seem like there's going to be a ton of pace in front of him. And I think it's a little concerning that Nick's Go did not fire too well. I know we ran 4th, but it was not a really impressive effort in the Saudi Cup. That does kind of make me skeptical of Jesus' team a little in here. I feel like there's some better Americans in here. Jesus' team is always going to be coming late. If you think you can get 3rd or 2nd, 100% valid to use him in some of those exotics underneath, but not a top contender for me. I think he's a fun horse to watch. Great story for sure. Just don't think he's a win contender. The 8 is Magna Cours. This is a horse who I think is, I don't know if it'll be a long shot, but I think he has a big chance in here. Rides a 3-race winning streak in France, and has been very good in all the races. And one of those races, I might add, was in the UK, a listed stakes win. So he's been very good for Andre Fabre, of course, one of the best trainers in the world, and for Godolphin. The biggest worry with this horse is the dirt. He's never ran on the dirt before. However, he's by Medap Leodora. We know those babies like dirt. Out of an AP&D mare. The dam herself, focused on the turf primarily, but AP&D and her bloodlines in general do have a lot of dirt influence. So there's reason to believe this horse should handle the dirt. I wouldn't think Andre Fabre wouldn't send him to this race if he didn't think he could handle it, and he's really going to like the distance. Got a great turn of foot too. William Buick picks up the ride. William Buick's probably one of the best dirt turf riders in the world, very well rounded. So I think there's reason to like Magny-Cours. Breaks from post 12 here, and should have a good chance if he can work out a good mid-pack trip where he can really close into it towards the end of the race. The 9, breaking from post 5, Military Law. Fun local horse, comes off of Group 2 win 2 starts ago. That was the first round of the Al Maktoum Challenge, but took a step back in the Saudi Cup. I know a lot of people were really high on him heading into there, especially some European pundits really thought he had a big chance. Ultimately didn't happen. 6 beaten, 14.5 lengths. I'd say there's probably an easier field, at least at the top level. However, that wasn't overly inspiring. At the end of last year, though, he was really, finding good form. Back-to-back seconds in the Al Maktoum Challenge races, running some fine races indeed, but just beaten every time. And I think that's kind of the theme with this horse. Sure, he has the one win this year, but I just think going the mile and a quarter, against this level, I'm against him. The 10 is Mystic Guide, your likely favorite, and rightfully so. Full disclosure, he's my pick in this spot, and I think it just makes a ton of sense. Breakthrough win last time out, in my opinion, when he took out the Razorback at Oaklawn, 6 lengths, throttled that field, and just looked so good doing it. And even before that, ever since he added the blinkers, he didn't race with blinkers for his first few starts, then added them for the Jim Dandy that he won in September on Derby Day at Saratoga. And that was just a very impressive win. Completely different horse. Ran that good second in the Grade 1 Jockey Club Gold Cup behind Happy Saver after that. And then he came back first start of the year and won the Razorback so impressively. Essential Quality ran the same day in the Southwest, and the time at the same distance, and the time was a full second slower. Mystic Guide was really good that day. Picks up Luis Saez, who rode him in that last start, is bored again today. I think he's a slam dunk. I think he towers over this field, and I think he should win. And I think it's going to be a breakthrough win that propels him forward to a huge 4-year-old campaign. He breaks from post 6 in this spot. P11 is kind of the local favorite. That's Salute the Soldier. Back-to-back wins for this horse, going a mile and 3/16 and a mile and a quarter, round 2 and 3 of the Al Maktoum Challenge. Really good wins, and he has some really good high cruising speed. But I have my concerns because I don't like the horses he's been beating. I think they're all overmatched. I don't think they're going to big factor against any of the horses in here, the ones that are here. I don't like Salute the Soldier. He's the best of them for sure, but I don't think that's enough to put him at the top level in here. Breaks from post 11, so he's going to have to work out a bit of a trip, given he's breaking from the outside over towards the inside where he does his best running. So there's a lot of reasons I don't like him. He'd have to gallop him into submission, and I just have a hard time believing he'll do that against, the likes of Mystic Guide and Magny-Cours and some of the other nice horses in here. I just don't see it happening for him. I know a lot of people like him. I'm not one of them. The 12 is Sleepy Eyes Todd, breaks from post 10. A fun horse, no doubt. He picked up those 2 stakes wins towards the end of last year at Keeneland and Gulfstream, and he did it really impressively, no doubt. But his last 2 runs, he's been beaten a combined, 21.5 lengths in the Pegasus, in the Saudi Cup. And while he's been rallying really well, it's clear he's never going to win. And I just don't love it. I had him, full disclosure, I had him in the Saudi Cup last time out. And I was disappointed with the ride. I'm disappointed they're going back to the rider again. He'd really have to step up and surprise him in this spot. Would have much rather have seen him gone in a race like the Godolphin Mile instead. I think he would have had a huge chance there, because I'm a little skeptical about him going that mile and a quarter as well. So just a bunch of reasons I don't really love him. He's, sure, he was able to beat up on some of the grade 3 listed stakes horses, but I have a hard time believing he can beat some of the world's better horses in this spot. Now 13 is the Great Collection, old veteran of this UAE circuit. Yeah, he's ran at Meydan a lot of times, and he's won a lot of times here too, but really, in my opinion, a bit more of a miler. They've stretched him out and kind of an experiment in his last 2 starts, and it hasn't gone poorly. Second in the Al Maktoum Challenge, round 2. Round 3, he was 4th, though, beaten 6 lengths. Really unimpressionable, and beaten by multiple horses that return in this field, and he didn't really have any excuses to go along with it. So I think that's kind of the biggest reason I'm against him in this spot. Just I feel like if he hadn't ran that last race at all, I might be a little bit more inclined to believe he could improve. But he's declined since that last run for sure, and I have a hard time believing a step up is coming in this spot. Fun horse, but another one I definitely would have rather seen in the Godolphin Mile. And lastly, the 14, the last American as well, title ready. Breaks from post 4, breakthrough win for this horse. He'd been searching and searching for that stakes win. Finally got it with a win at Fairgrounds in a grade 3 last time out. It was a really nice win, no doubt, closed super nicely for Brian Hernandez that day, but he didn't really beat much. I think that's kind of the biggest thing with this horse. Is he'd always been beaten by better horses every time. We're talking about a horse that was 7th in the Classic in November, 10th in the Clark, which was not the greatest field in the world, and lost a couple grade stakes before that as well. You know, he has never ever been a horse that can be at the highest levels, grade 2s, grade 3s. Sure, he'd run a good second or third every now and then, but really never competitive. And even then, you look at the speed figures on that win last time out in the Louisiana Stakes, and it's not there. And the horses that he beat, they weren't that good. They have not done too much since that race. So there's not a lot to like about him. I don't really know about him going the mile and a quarter either. That's certainly a concern for me. So I'm definitely out on title ready, probably the weakest of the American competitors in this spot. So like I said earlier, my pick is Mystic Guide. I know it's the favorite, but he kind of towers over this field in my opinion. If I were to go elsewhere, it'd be Magna Course, certainly my wild card pick in here. And, you know, if I'm giving out a third horse, maybe a local horse I like the most, or a horse that has solid experience over the track, since the top two that I already mentioned have zero made-on experience, I'd go with the Juste Fiscal, the Uruguayan. He's ran 2 really good races. Third run in the form cycle should probably be his best, and I think the mile and a quarter, getting out to that for the first time over this course, could signify a big run for him underneath. So I guess that would be 10-8-1 would be my picks in this race, but really all in on Mystic Guide to win the Dubai World Cup. I hope you enjoy the race. It's an early morning for me. I'm on the West Coast, so got to get up bright and early for that first race, the Godolphin Mile, at 5 in the morning. So however early you have to wake up, I hope you enjoy it and have fun. This is one of my favorite cards of the year. Always fun, always some surprises, and it's always a good time. Have a good weekend, everybody. Enjoy the races, and we'll see you next time.
With a 2-length lead, 3/4 in 1 minute 13.91 seconds. Blackberry Wine leads Wells Bayou, who's in full stretch, title ready now, takes his shot on the outside in the furlong grounds. It's Blackberry Wine roused, title ready. Wells Bayou's third. Solomon and Silver Prospector. Here's title ready for Brian Hernandez Jr. Gets the lead close to home. Title ready on top. Takes the Louisiana Stakes.